is an emergency. Queen's Quest arrived. Emergency. Queen's Quest arrived. Emergency. Queen's Quest
down to the queens.
Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and everybody inside and outside of the gender spectrum, and welcome back to Stardom Quest, the best weekly Stardom podcast anywhere in the world. I am, as always, Alex, and I am joined by Dylan. Hi, Dylan.
Hi, Alex. Hey, guys. It's Dylan. I'm back. We're both back. I'm rewatching some of the show because the subtitles are finally up. So that's what I'm doing. I'm sorry. I don't have a bit prepared for this morning.
It's okay. We will have bits. Don't you worry. But before
Yeah, we
that,
have plenty.
This podcast is brought to you by the 5-Star Network.
that
I
plug.
believe is it 5starnetwork.co?
Yes.
Yes. So that's the website. There's like a match of the week thing from all of the contributors. There's interviews. Heart Editing just interviewed Unagi Sayaka, so that's kind of interesting for Stardom fans. So we do have the website, but obviously the important thing is the podcast network where you can find us, Stardom Quest. You have the All Elite cast hosted by Scott Edwards and the always fabulous 6-Star. There is also Dramatic Dream Dragons, which is a Dragon Gate and DDT podcast hosted by Sandra and friends. And then there is also Watch Tej, the leading TJPW podcast in the world. There may be other TJPW podcasts, I do not know. Watch Tej is better. So listen to Watch Tej. That is it. That is the plug. So
yeah. There's two things. One, last week I mentioned something about the trainees, right? And I just assumed, because I don't listen to any other Stardom podcast, I was just like, oh, I called that, even though I didn't. Widescreen told me because I think Armani told him. So it was not a me scoop. But I mentioned it on the podcast and I was like, boom, I was right. I'm the only motherfucker to cover that. And then I was just like, wait a minute. Every other Stardom podcast could have covered it and I would have no clue. Because I am so
Yeah.
isolated in my own, what I mean? I don't.
Well, what other Stardom shows are there? There's the
There are a
Stardom
few.
cast, but they
Yes.
only run every 2 weeks or so, don't they? So they probably don't talk about the trainees. And that's it, isn't it? There's no other Stardom ones.
There's got to be one or two other ones.
No, because a lot of them are Joshi in general, right? Scott does Joshi ones. Bowling JD does a Joshi one. There's Jumping Bomb Audio, but that doesn't count because it is the worst trash I've ever heard in my life.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I'm tired of playing nice. That show is terrible. But yeah, I don't think there's any other Stardom-based shows. So I mean, I have no idea. Anyway, I feel like we need to start by covering the recent controversy in the world of Stardom. And thank you to Shigeo for bringing this to the attention of the world. He did his duty. He brought justice to the world. So Shigeo quote tweeted this announcement by Stardom, and he basically said, Shigeo, why do you retweet so many pictures of women?
He retweets so much.
Shigeo, what are you doing? Why are there so
Would you like
many
me to read it for you? Because it's in our DMs. I'm there. I see it right here.
Yes, please.
Utami, Talsaya, Izumi, Mayu, Hanan, and Komomo will be wearing wedding dresses at their meet and greet event on February 11th in Jotsu Nagata. How exciting!
Yes. So Stardom is selling these women into forced marriages.
Jesus Christ,
and
you can't say that. You cannot say that.
And I for one believe that is wrong. Stardom should not be allowed to sell their wrestlers into marriage. Dylan, how do you weigh in?
You're gonna make me disagree with that. No, obviously their wrestlers should not be sold into marriage, you psychopath. It's not what's happening. Everybody got really upset about this. And I get it. It sounds weird, especially Hanan wedding dress, bit weird. But they have done it. First of all, it's not a meet and greet. It's a variety show that fans are at. They never meet the rest. It's not. It's very separate. They've done this before, and nobody cared. The only reason people care is because Shigeo's weird. And he said, "How
Yes.
exciting!" It's the only
Yes.
reason anybody cares. That's it. That's it. Absolutely it. Because like I've said, like they did this exact same show, the exact same gimmick, in August, and because nobody translated that was happening, nobody knew. And then there are pictures of like Saya and Utami in dresses, and everybody's like, "Oh, they look really pretty. That's cool." And then they moved on with their lives because that's what normal people do. But this, for whatever reason, got a lot of traction because Shigeo just had to add that "how exciting!" exclamation mark there, uh, and make people feel a little uncomfy. They're sponsored by like a dress company in Jotsu, it's a local sponsor. That's why they do it every time they're in Nagata. Like that's it.
Mhm.
It's not. They're not getting sold into marriage, guys. They're fine. They're fine. You'll get Utami in a suit soon enough. She loves the suits. She will be in a suit. Like it's
Good.
not like
Shit better.
they she likes to she evens it out. You know,
Mhm.
this isn't that big of a deal. Come on. Calm down, guys.
Yes. Yeah, Shigeo 100% made it weird
Oh
without
yeah. Yeah.
without probably without even intending to make it weird. Like English is not his first language. To him, wedding dress and like regal dress, because they're more regal dresses. Like they're not like wedding dresses. They're kind of like fancy party dresses. Um, but to him, those are like probably the same thing, right? So he's just said wedding dress because it's the easiest translation. Um, and he probably just went with meet and greet because the wrestlers will be there, accessible to the people at the event or something. Like it's yeah, it was a strange one, but I'm sure everybody will see the photos and go, oh, they all look pretty, and then that's it. We'll be fine. Um, on non-forced marriage news, Stardom's announced quite a bit for the upcoming shows. The first is that on Stardom and Showcase Volume 4, there have been a few matches added. Some of them were added last week, and I'm not sure they were mentioned. I can't see them anymore, but they are added.
I don't
Um,
think I mentioned anything from Showcase last week.
no, they confirmed like the four-way, the
Yeah. That
participants in
happened
that.
the night that we were releasing the
Yeah.
podcast, so like we didn't get to talk about it.
Yeah, but since they have since added a Stardom 12th anniversary Kobe Beef Scramble three-way elimination match. It is Stars versus Queen's Quest versus Uedo Tai. I believe the winner gets a lifetime supply of premium Kobe beef. So
Oh,
so I think that's the setup here. The teams are Stars is Mayu Iwatani, Hazuki, and Koguma. Queen's Quest has Utami, Hayashishita, Sayakamatani, and Miyu Amasaki. And Ueda Tai has Natsuko Tora, Starlight Kid, and Momo Watanabe. So you have some of the best wrestlers in this entire company, some of their biggest names, fighting for a
fighting for
lifetime
the
supply
meat.
of Kobe beef.
Yeah. I mean, I think Oedo Tai should win this because they're always on booking season.
Yeah.
Um, like they the big bad guys, and I think they should win it. Also, they were in the video. Like
Yes.
Rossi was eating Kobe beef, and Natsuko, Momo, and Kid came up and were like, "Hey, fuck you eating?" He's like, "I'm just trying to eat my lunch, bro. It's Kobe beef." And they're like, "Hey, we want some." And he's like, "You know what? I'll make a match." And that's what happened. True story.
Love that for him. Um, Now there's another. So there seems to be like another fan vote thing underway, but it's specifically through Stardom Card Party that you have to do it. So
Hmm.
I'm sure the results of that will come out eventually.
Yeah,
Have
how's
you?
that going?
It is very addictive, I gotta say. I packed a 3-star Kevin the other day, so I feel like a
Okay.
celebrity. I got like the 3-star Kevin, and everybody was like, "Holy shit, that's amazing!" Um, the temptation to spend money is so
Oh,
strong.
I know. I've seen like multiple like I don't want to say that they're like, well adjusted because we're all Joshi fans, so I don't know if any of us are quite well adjusted. But I've seen like well adjusted like friends, like mutuals, be like, somebody please tell me not to spend money on this because I really
Yeah,
want to. And I
yeah.
was like, you need to calm down, buddy.
Like, had I not just bought a new PlayStation, I would 100% have spent money on Stardom Card Party. It's just so you're just like, I get some cool cards. Like, why not? It's not that expensive. It's like my fingers are tapping as we speak. trying not to spend. So yeah, it's they're gonna make so much money on that Stardom card party thing. It's absurd. Um, let's see what else has been announced. So they announced that Azumi versus Starlight Kid has been rescheduled for the March 4th to, Yoyogi Stadium pay-per-view, and they also officially confirmed that cheering is allowed for that match. So the March 4th show is the final of the Triangle
Hmm.
Derby. So they basically gave away that neither of these two women are in winning teams, which may
Which
have
is
already been
weird because
obvious.
Queen's Quest is like this in second place in their block.
Oh,
So they
um,
gotta lose their next
oh.
2 matches basically.
Yeah, that's we love that. We love that. But yeah, they've confirmed that for that show. That I don't know, that might go high. I don't know if it goes over the Triangle Derby final, but I assume it'll be high on the card because they wanted
It'll
it to
probably
main
be
event
the in
last
between,
time.
right? They'll probably do semi-mains or the semifinals and then that match and then the final.
Yeah, which is a bit of a downstep considering it was gonna main event, but
Yeah.
you kind of have to main
They
event with the tournament.
they could have put in a Korakuen,
Yes.
like in a Korakuen main event. I mean, isn't that what they're doing with the Goddess belts? Like
Yeah.
there isn't that
Yeah,
the
just like a
March
week later.
10th?
Yeah.
Yeah. They definitely could have just done that, but it is what it is.
Yeah, that's a cool match anyway for that pay per view. As you mentioned, Nanai Takahashi and Yu versus Natsuko Tora and Rocca has been scheduled for the March 10th Korakuen Hall show. BMI 2000 challenged 7 Up after their win at the pay per view. And the final bit of news, at least I believe it's the final bit of news, Stardom has
Well,
announced that they will be unveiling 5 new trainees at the Cork and Hall show on the 17th of February. So,
we really need to get on those Wrestling Observer boards because, like, that's where everything is leaked so easily by a very specific person. It's crazy
yeah.
because I knew
Yeah.
this like a week and a half ago. You know what I mean? Like, and nobody else did until 3 days ago. Like, that's wild that he just be doing that. But yeah, uh, we were talking about it. Is Milano still training at the ground level?
Um, I don't know. I assume so.
Because like, does he take credit for the Miyu Amasaki's training? Like, I don't. I feel like it's a bit less transparent nowadays because obviously back in the day, they kind of were. They gave the game away that it's like, oh yeah, Kagetsu's training them, or oh yeah, Fuka's training them, or Hazuki trained this one, or like. But now I feel like, so is it Milano or is Mayu doing it now, or is Hazuki back doing it now? Like, I'm interested to see uh who this crop was trained by and how it affects their their time. I feel like it's been a while since there's been more than like one trainee at a time.
Yeah.
Like this is the
Actually,
first class in a
I don't know
while.
if there's 5. Because it's the people who've passed their protest. So that might
I mean,
not
it's
be all of them.
multiple though,
Well,
which is still, I
maybe.
assume, maybe it's translated poorly or not translated poorly. Maybe we just
I
don't
suppose
know.
it'll just say
But
trainees. So yeah.
yeah, so like this is like one of the first times in a long time that there's like multiple trainees coming out at the same time that aren't twins. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're looking at like Hoshino Kamitani the last time, and even then they
Yeah,
came from Stardom Idols. So
yeah, where there was 13 of them and it got
yes,
chopped down to 2.
what a strange time that was. But
I,
yeah,
I who did I have to explain to? I think it's the person who does Don't Forget About Taue. I forget what the show is called. But I was explaining to them that like, yeah, so Sayaka Amatani was at first trained by Sushi Onita and Tam. And they were like, wait, what the fuck? They were so confused. Because yeah, Star Mouse, strange thing.
yeah, yeah. What a fever dream, honestly. And to be fair, it would have been super successful given that it almost gave them 2 like top stars. Like, cause Hoshino had it. Like, she was
Oh,
everything.
Hoshino still has it. She's a
Yeah.
singer now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she has a performance coming up.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, like Hoshino would have been a big deal, and Kamitani is obviously now they're like record-breaking white belt champions.
Yeah.
Stardom Idols came through. Um, Yeah, the trainees, it's going to be interesting to see what they're like, because we've seen two trainees now since the regime change, and I think the general consensus is they're fine. um, so you kind of have to start hitting on some of these trainees. I I
I
wonder.
feel like Hazuki has to have some role in training them.
I don't know how they do it because
If she
sometimes it looks
does,
like Momo Watanabe is involved, but there's no way she would be putting out like mediocre trainees. I just can't believe that, you know. um, but then like maybe it's a case of they train further with their factions once they're done. Like
yeah, no, that's definitely what it is.
their base training is whoever we assume Milano, and then after that, wherever they go faction wise, they get further training because Hazuki definitely trains like Momokogo.
Yeah, no, and that's I think that's definitely I think it's definitely a lot more faction based training, and I think that's why wrestlers get kind of put into factions a lot quicker. I mean, I'm pretty sure Lady C was training with DDM, and that's why Micah and Hameka just started to love her at some point randomly,
Mm.
while she was factionless. So like, I do imagine they kind of just find a place for them, but obviously, my favorite trainees, like in recent memory, were trained by Hazuki and Yu Ashino. So I think Hazuki and also Fuwa was trained by Hazuki, and
Oh
we saw
yeah,
how
yeah.
fucking immediate that was.
She'll be
You know,
back
I
soon, won't she? She's definitely on that
yes,
Yokohama
yes.
show.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I think this is another one that you can't uh put on air, but I mean, I would imagine they would want her on the Yokohama show as an
Yeah.
exhibition.
Because I know she's like preparing to wrestle again, but I don't know.
Yes.
But yeah, I wonder if this is where we see the marvelous wrestler that retrained or whatever that Nagayo mentioned, because it wasn't X.
It was very much not X.
No, no, it still might be May, and she shows up. I know Seedling is promoting an X, but that could be fucking anybody with Seedling. But this might be like Kamigoto or something, who's like retrained with Stardom, because I don't think Nagayo would lie. So maybe this is where we'll see the trainee, and if it's not them, then I'm never bringing it up again. Nagayo lied to us then in that case. But yeah, this might be where we see them.
Maybe she just doesn't know. Maybe she's just like, oh yeah, I talked to ex trainee or ex Marvelous wrestler, and she's planning on getting back in the ring at some point.
Yeah,
And she is
possibly.
like, she was a bit over. You know, we're overestimating what she means by that.
Potentially, yeah, you never know. But I mean, this might be it. If it's not this, then where could it be?
Yeah,
So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it's nice to bring in trainees. There's a future
I'm
division.
always a big fan of it.
Yeah, the future Stardom division is getting a little light because they haven't been able to poach people, a little bit. So
You know, this isn't super well, not yet at least. Is not pertains to Stardom, but the younger Inaba sister is having her debut in a few days. Um, so that and she's
oh,
15.
Azusa,
So
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
she's
Azusa.
but
So
that's just an
she'll
exhibition. So her full debut
yes.
is probably at like a Karkin soon. But yeah, she's doing
I mean,
good.
again, she turned 15 like late last year, and I'm pretty sure JTO has a 15 age limit,
Mm.
like of getting in the ring. Like she's been seconding since she was fucking like 13. But you know, like I think they have a age limit. So she's debuting, and that will be interesting. Uh, I imagine Inaba will try to get her on some shows. Maybe not Stardom, but it's always a thing that could happen at some point. Um,
Yes, and this Azusa, she's got a similar background to Tomoka. I believe they
yes,
teach like a class in their discipline, their chosen discipline. So
karate.
yeah,
I mean,
so
Azusa has like not she has like competitive karate experience,
mm,
which is like that's a thing in like martial arts is that obviously there are a lot of people who like do martial arts, but not all of them are competitive, right? Like not all of them like are actively like going to, you know, competitions and whatnot. I feel like just 2 months ago, I saw her post that she like got third in like this like big, uh, teenager karate competition. So like yeah, she's like competitive in the art, and I don't know. I think being trained by Taka Michinoku and Tomoka Inaba gives her the best course that almost any wrestler could have at this rate. Um, so I'm hoping that she turns out good. Obviously, she's again 15, so I'm not expecting too much from her in this exhibition match. But yeah, uh, she could be somebody in that future division in the next couple of years.
Definitely, definitely. Now Stardom has announced the cards for 3 separate shows towards the end of February. Um, so there's nothing super amazing on these, but just some stuff to pick out. Yuna Mizumori is on all of these shows, so
Hmm,
she's as good as signed, I feel like. It's like she's working the house show loops. Like there are Stardom signed wrestlers who are not doing the house show loops, but Unimon
that's true.
is on that loop. She has 3 singles matches in a row, so she's wrestling no, she's wrestling Hina, Kevin, and then Momo Kogo. So she's getting a bit of
Hmm,
experience. Mina Shirakawa and Mariah May are teaming on every show as Club
yeah.
Venus. There's no crossover with Cosmic Angels that I can see. Also, Saida is wrestling Tekla on one of those shows, so that should be cool.
Ooh,
But otherwise,
body girls.
they're like very house show looking cards. There's not even like derby matches. It doesn't look like it's just back to tags. So fun times there. Um,
Ooh.
now I think that's all the news though. Uh,
Well,
oh,
there is, and I keep saying it, and you just don't want to think about it, which is fair. But the United Empire did say very specifically that they are going to have a Stardom wrestler in their group. Uh, so that is something. Obviously, I know a little bit more about this than you do because I watch New Japan more than you do. But basically, uh, Osprey's been fucking saying this for like years now, since he cuttered B, and it was really weird, and everybody was like, "Oh, I don't like that." Um, since then, he's been like, "Yeah, we want a new women's member of the group." Initially, he wanted Arisa Hoshiki. That didn't work out, obviously. Uh, he was still asking her to join when she was in Act Ring, and she was like, "Nah, dude, I ain't even wrestling anymore." And he's like, "But you're wrestling." She's like, "Nah, but it's not wrestling." So that happened, and more recently, he's been talking about wanting Azumi in it in interviews with like Press of Flosion and shit like that. So I don't know.
it seems like
Alex is kind of thinking it's Alex Windsor.
yeah.
Uh, I am getting worried because now that I think about it, the more that I think about it, Azumi is Mercedes' dream opponent in Stardom. United Empire said that they're targeting the women's championship, and I imagine Mercedes is the next women's champion at this rate. Uh, and even if she's not, Kyrie and Azumi were the same class, so that's kind of an excuse to put Azumi in there. And also, Azumi is cool with Great Okan. Azumi is quote unquote Will's daughter. I don't like how many connections there are. I'm just gonna be real. I'm getting concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I would be too, because if Will Ospreay was going to pick anybody, it would be Azumi.
It would be Azumi. Yeah.
Um, Now, is our Stardom going to just let him pick anybody to mess up their factions? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know if it like. I imagine it would be more of a B deal than it would be a like
I'm
Azumi
honestly
turning on
not
Queen's
sure.
Quest.
Like the whole New Japan use of Stardom women is so confusing to me, and
I
it's
mean, like
really bad.
Tab Nakano is not just four guys. Like she's not the fifth guy in just four guys. You know what I mean? That's not what Tam is. She's just homies with Taichi.
I guess I don't know. It's a strange one, but I mean, yes, if they wanted a woman, they could get Azumi.
Like
I feel
I
like
imagine.
Alex Windsor makes the
Go on.
most sense because
She does.
that belt is meant for international stuff, and she is obviously based in Britain. She is injured, I'm pretty sure. As of now, like that was the last I heard was she was hurt. So I don't know how that affects anything, but I mean, I feel like if it was anybody, Will Ospreay would be like, "Hey, can my girlfriend get a job?" And like, you're not
He
gonna
does do that.
you're not gonna say no when she is very talented, like Alex Windsor is. So,
Yeah.
and she also plays that like foreign heel role that you just know they want like so badly. So, I feel like her being it would make sense because she, can come over part time, do the occasional job, and do international shows at the same time. So I feel like if it was going to be anybody, it would be her because they want to focus on the international stuff. Whereas with Azumi, like yeah, she's got Queen's Quest there already. Like if you were going to use her in any capacity, you'd use her with Queen's Quest rather than
Mhm.
sending her to America to represent United Empire or whatever.
See, the way that I see it, or saw it at least while I was thinking it, was just this is, uh 'cause, in New Japan, Will Ospreay is a pretty big deal, unfortunately. Um, but I what I saw was like, oh, maybe because 'cause they're doing 2 IWGP Women's defenses in Japan.
Yeah.
One is at, fucking what is it? I forget what the next
Sumo
tour show
Hall?
for. Yeah, one's at Sumo Hall and one's at the Yokohama Arena. Those are the 2 in Japan IWGP matches coming up, and there's one in America, as far as we know. So I saw it as like, oh, well, they're doing Sasha, or sorry, Mercedes and Kyrie at the American show. Sumo Hall, they will have like Will, or not at Sumo Hall, but like will vouch for Azumi and be like, hey, she's like representing United Empire in this match, and everybody's gonna be like, oh, Will says she's cool, so she's cool, and that's how they get New Japan fans to care, because
Hmm.
they are not good at getting New Japan fans to care. That's more so what I mean, not like have
Yeah.
Azumi go to fucking Virginia to wrestle against
But
Mercedes.
that's
Like I'm
that's
thinking
probably
like,
why
oh,
you can make it Windsor, because then you can have her represent the faction, and you can tie her to the faction and like sell merch with her and everything. Whereas
yes,
a very loose alignment with Azumi for one show only doesn't do much. And no offense to Azumi, but I feel like her versus Mercedes would be a very underwhelming match for a Sumo Hall show for like the native audience, because she's just kind of a mid card ish wrestler in Stardom. So like I feel like
yeah,
you're
but
only
they
get
treated
you're
Tam like she was a mid Carter.
yeah,
At
but
least, I
I
mean,
feel like you're only getting the heavy
Azumi could run
hitters.
fast though.
True. I don't know. I feel like you're only getting the heavy hitters when it comes to Mercedes, and like Azumi isn't really a heavy hitter in terms
I
of
don't know.
presentation. So,
I feel like Mercedes calling her out specifically is the main reason
well,
why I'm like, oh
she
well,
also called
they'll just have
out
her be a filler defense.
she also called out the
Okay,
retired Manami Toyota. So,
but the only person she directly called out, no, that was okay. I think it's funny, but let's be real here. The only 2 people she actively called out was Azumi and Miyu.
yeah.
And then she's like, "Fuck, I could wrestle Aja Kong. I'll wrestle
Well,
by that." And
to
it's
be
like,
fair,
but I think the only 2 people that
Aja
she
was the
like
very
actively
first
is like,
one she mentioned. She wants that Aja match. She'll probably get that Aja
I'm
match
cool with it.
in America because Aja is over in America, so she might get that.
She is. They should why man, I'm not gonna get into AEW shit. Never mind.
Imagine she was on the
I was gonna
TJ
say get
Debut
Aja
show in
Kong.
LA. It's just wrestling Aja Kong. That would be so
That'd
badass.
be crazy.
That'd be
It's like,
amazing.
oh well, I can't wrestle anywhere else in Japan, but I can wrestle elsewhere in America. It's like that's not how that works. This is a breach of contract, homie.
Well, yeah, sadly, but I mean, Aja Kong in America. Isn't that cool?
It'll be fun.
Didn't they book Masha versus Aja? Like that's gonna be crazy, dude.
They should if oh they did. I'm excited for that.
Love it. I love it. Aja Kong's the best. Go see Aja Kong.
She's still dope.
Um. Anyway, that is all the news, I believe.
Only a half hour in, and we haven't even talked about the pay per view.
I know, right? It's amazing. So we only have one show to review, thankfully. I would not have watched any other show. I'm gonna be quite honest with you. Um,
The show both made me like I was satisfied with it, but I also was very burned out by it. I
really?
was like, I don't want to watch any more Stardom right now.
Oh, this didn't burn me out. I'm just too busy trying to like break every record in the WNBA. So, you know,
Oh, I heard about that. I
yeah,
heard about
it's
that.
it's it's a good time. Cause listen, breaking records is fun, but it's not fun in the NBA where like all these old dudes in the 50s were grabbing like 55 rebounds. Because no matter how good I play, I'm never grabbing 55 rebounds. But in the space of 6 games, I have broken the WNBA's rebound record twice. So having a lot more fun with this, as you can probably
It'd be
imagine.
really funny. It'd be really funny if you were saying all this and everybody just assumed it was 2K, and it turns out that you're actually in the WNBA. It's like yeah, it's just a side gig.
Well, listen, you never know. Maybe one day. Who knows? Um, yeah, time to review Stardom. This is the
Yay.
Stardom 12th anniversary Stardom Supreme Fight 2023. This was in the Eddie Osaka Arena number 1. This had
It was.
1,832 fans, which was described as full. So not a proper
It
sellout.
wasn't. It wasn't. Yeah, I
Yeah,
was gonna say it wasn't full, but it was meaty. You
yeah.
know.
So this just seems to be where they're setting up for this venue, because I know I was talking to Velke once, and we were like, yeah, they should probably hit like 2,000 for this show, like maybe 2,000. They just don't seem interested. They're like, we're gonna set up for 1,800. And we're gonna hope for the best. But they do continue to grow every time they're in Osaka. Because didn't they do like 16 last time? Before that, they were doing like
Yeah, I remember
12.
they've done some bad numbers in
Yeah.
Osaka.
So they keep adding a couple hundred every time they go back. So I imagine they will hit 2,000 there by the end of the year. But for now, a sellout show is a sellout show, and I'm sure they're happy. Um, in the opener, we had the Naniwa Roulette, which was won by Saki Kashima. This was very lengthy. Uh, I I kind of I like the idea of the roulette. I don't like the execution as much. It was definitely one of those
I've
where
I liked the idea a lot.
yeah,
Yeah.
like some of them didn't make the use of the time very well, and that happens a lot in Stardom. Like you give these wrestlers a couple minutes, and they're just like, "Oh, I guess I can't do anything," and it's like, "No, you can do stuff. Like you could do stuff." Um, but like I feel like it didn't get really good until Mariah May and Tekla, which was badass, and then Momoka Hanazono Natsuko Tora was really fun.
Oh, those were probably the two best
Yeah,
of the
and then it was essentially
three.
over when Billy Can Death was stealing the show with Saki Kashima. So it
Yeah.
took until the very end of the match to have a lot of notable stuff, and I don't think that really bodes well for the execution of it. Um, but
Can I run down the results really quickly
yeah, sure.
of this?
Yeah.
Okay. So Mayu comes out because obviously it was roulette. So in kayfabe, nobody knew when they were gonna come out. But I think Mayu actually didn't know when she was gonna come out because she came out carrying her entrance gear.
Hmm.
Uh, and she was like, "Fuck, man, I'm up first." And it was Mayu and Waka. Also, first show with cheering back. Waka's the most over motherfucker in the
Oh
company.
yeah.
Um, like naturally,
Hmm.
because like I would say probably the biggest reactions were from the tag match, but naturally, Waka came out and she was just immediately the most popular person in the company. It was great. Shout out to Waka,
She got
King of New York,
cheered
real
over
real talk.
Mayu. Like she was across the
Oh,
ring.
100%. Mayu was like, "What the fuck?" She's like, This is what? She wasn't even here last time you guys were cheered. What the fuck's happening?" It was great. It was great. Um, but yeah, Mayu beat Waka with the Dragon Suplex. It was really clean. And then Momokoga came out and she did the apron spot, which I thought was really actually interesting because I feel like Momokogo being like, "Yo, you know I can't beat you in 5 minutes. Let's make this fair." And sudden death on the ring apron. And Mayu's like, "Shit, okay." And Momo almost wins, but she didn't because obvious. Mayu actually submitted her with the numero dos, aka the leg destroyer.
Oh,
Uh, that was interesting. Taking kids move, I guess. Next up was Miyu Amasaki.
making her
And Miyu
long-awaited
was
return.
yes, making her longer return in probably the worst match of the of the roulette.
For
Um,
Kevin.
it was pretty weak. She did hit a DDT, which was cool, but other than that, it was just nothing. Mayu submitted her with the mini killer because I don't know if you guys know this, but we actually call her Kevin because much like Kevin Hart, Miyu is a very small human being. So she fits into like the
Oh
mini
my
killer gimmick, you
god.
know what I mean? Like she gets it. She
God.
gets it. So I mean, she could, Mayu could do that to Kevin Hart too. Let's be real here.
Well, yeah,
He's a small
he's
motherfucker.
a little bitch, of course. He wouldn't
Yeah,
even fight
exactly. So that's
back.
why we call her Kevin. That's why, that's why we call her Kevin. Uh, close friends with The Rock, but yeah, mainly because she's very small. Um, after that, Tam came out. So Mayu was running the gauntlet, and then Tam came out. They did a little bit of fun stuff. Tam almost jumped off of
I
the
should
top
point
rope.
out though, when Tam's name showed up, there was a very audible reaction. 'Cause I don't know if it's because people were gonna see her wrestle Mayu or whatever, but I remember her
I
name
think
came up and it was like, whoa,
I think it was the contrast because, like,
possibly.
at first it looked like Mayu was running the gauntlet,
Yeah.
right? Like, I was expecting her to get Mai Sakurai and beat her, maybe Yuna and beat her, if Saki wasn't gonna win, like, wrestle against Saki, uh, I thought she was gonna, like, go, like, for, like, a half hour, but when it was like, "Oh, she gets 3 of the easy opponents and then Tam fucking Nakano," it's like, it was a big pop, which I mean, I popped for it because I was like, "Damn, that's crazy." Uh, Tam almost eliminated herself, and then they wrestled to a draw. Next out was Mina and Poi, and they also wrestled to a draw because everybody in Cosmic Angels is fucking dumb, and Mina decided to lock in a figure four leg lock for 2.5 of the 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
The wrestling here was nice. Mina's definitely getting back to her
Yes,
best. And
yes,
Natsupoi was Natsupoi. And yeah.
but I took points off because it was so fucking dumb.
Well,
Uh,
I don't know. I mean, the figure four is her like second finisher now, so I guess she.
yeah, but dude. Okay, I know that like talking about psychology as somebody who's not who isn't a wrestler is dumb, but it was a 5 minute match. 2 minutes of it was great, but when you why were you in the leg lock for 3 minutes?
That's fair.
Why would you do that? It makes no sense in kayfabe or out of kayfabe whatsoever. Why would you do whatever? Doesn't matter. Um, Poi also almost dives off the top rope because she's also dumb. And then next up were Mariah May and Mai Sakurai. Mariah May beat Mai Sakurai with the happily ever
Yep.
after. Um, cool. And then Tekla and Mariah May did some solid
Oh,
stuff.
that was so good.
It felt like they were building.
Yeah.
It felt like they were building something. So I imagine, and Mariah May liked the tweet where I said this, so shout out to her, that Tekla and Mariah May could be for the SWA belt if they feel like
You
it's
know,
reintroducing that
while Mariah
at like
May,
Yokohama Arena or at something
while
like
we're on the
that.
topic of Mariah May, she did an interview with.
We didn't get to talk about her interview.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she did an interview with Scott. And as a Stardom fan, I came away very happy with it. She seems
Yeah, me
very
too.
committed to Stardom. Like,
I'm on the bandwagon
she
now.
was saying, like, she wants to work here for a long time. She said she was a big fan before she came over, which I think is really important. Like, she's clearly somebody who has a lot of respect for the talent
She said
here.
this is her end goal,
Yeah, and she
which
said
is
her goal,
rare.
she's learning Japanese and she wants to go to promo in Japanese by the end of the year. So this is a woman who is very much committed to Stardom, and as somebody who's enjoyed her work and thinks there's a lot of potential there, that's just really nice to see that she herself is committed to making this work and kind of sticking around for the long haul here because they really do have something with Mariah May. But yeah, that was a good interview
Yeah,
from Scott. It was really good. So check that out.
I recommend
It's
it.
on Fightful's YouTube, so you can put it on in the background or whatever.
Yeah, I feel like that's always kind of like how people uh perceive a lot of foreign wrestlers. They're like, okay, how much do you actually care? What I mean? Like, I feel like that was a problem back in the day a lot, right? I always say that crop of like 28 girls in 2018, when like Britt Baker went over, when, and this isn't disrespecting any of them. Like, I don't mean this like in a harmful way, but when like Britt Baker, Kylie Ray, they were just bringing over like every independent woman from America that had a match that wasn't the worst match you've ever seen, and just put them, oh, and Brandy, but and just put them in Stardom, and you could tell that some of them just did not give a fuck. Like they were like, "Oh, well, this will help me be more popular in America," even though it didn't. Like it felt very like just like, "Oh, they're there to be there," but uh, some women like Mariah May very clearly love being there, and I think that's really dope.
Mm.
So yeah, she's I don't want to say she's one of the good ones, but she's one of the good ones. Uh, and then yeah, they double ringed out, which was pretty bad. I thought that the way they went about it was
I'm pretty sure
mid.
Mariah like very clearly was on the ground way before Tekla as well.
Yes, Tekla tweeted about it. She's like, "You dumb bitch, you were I should have won that match." And then Mariah May replied, "Cry about it," and that was it.
Oh, icon.
And I was like, "Damn, that's
Put
crazy."
her in her place,
Yeah,
queen.
I don't know. I think Tekla was 100% right
I mean,
though.
probably, but that's a great response.
Yeah. And then Natsuko Momoka Hanazono was probably my favorite of any of this. It was fucking hilarious.
This had
They double ringed out.
the most the most wince-inducing spot because Momoka broke that toy off of Natsuko's head. Like that had to have hurt. Like
Oh, 100%.
how?
But like I feel like including me, I feel like people forget how well Natsuko works off of comedy wrestlers. Cause she's like one of the best when I mean, she was tagging with fucking Session Moss Martina and Natsu Sumire, and it was beautiful. Like it was perfect. They were great together. Uh, I feel like Natsuko, like they should put her in so many more of the showcase matches with like comedy wrestlers because I feel like it works so well. Um, they also double ringed out. but this was probably the best double ring out because it was really well done. And it was really funny. Um, and then next up was Unimon and X. X was a Billiken death, which is Fukigen death, but draped in gold, like she's painted in gold and coming out to Big Daddy Walter's theme. Um, that's a crazy sentence. I'm gonna be real with you.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know.
I was like legit like, why the fuck are? It's funny because that's just a classical like song. Like that's a very
But
famous
yeah,
song, but I just call it Walter's theme. Like, and I feel like most wrestlers do. I was like, "Is Walter here? Is are they doing a DDT and they just have somebody impersonating Walter? What's happening?" But no, it was Death, and she was the X. Okay.
yeah. She was over.
No, she was over. I mean, like, I thought it was a fun little thing, but you know,
Like the crowd was like genuinely into her stuff. They were really into the Fukigen death things. So that's good to
yeah. I
see.
mean, she is Yoneyama. Spoiler alert. She is one of the best wrestlers.
It's true.
So I mean, I get it, but it was just like, damn, that's what we doing here. I'm cool with it, but that's what we doing here. Um, and then yeah, Death won via roll up, O'Connor roll to be specific, and then last was Saki Kashima with Death and Revival,
Oh yeah. Then
and Saki is the next high speed champion.
yes, all of our prayers are finally answered.
That's crazy.
We've been asking for high speed Saki Kashima for so long. Now she's finally doing it. I'm so happy. So that's just great.
You know, last time she had a high speed title match, she lost in 2 minutes and 37 seconds.
Oh, well, you know what? Even if that happens, it will be very fun. So it's fine.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. I mean, like, I am happy. I imagine it'll be obviously Azumi and
Yes.
Saki. Sounds like they'll do Saki and Kid. If they do, they hate me.
Mhm.
Because that's like one of the only Saki high speed matches that doesn't sound fun. uh, but yeah, so shout
I
out to
feel
Saki
like Saki
Kashima. She's
has to
finally getting a
win,
singles belt.
right? Like she has to win. Azumi's
Yeah,
cleared that
which is
division out. Like it's
yeah. I mean, like, I feel like what we are waiting for just isn't going to happen. You know what I mean? Like it's like, oh, well, like the like far out outsiders type of thing. Cuz she got the kind of like close ones, you know. Uh
yeah. I mean,
what I mean by that is like she got the Mesarugas and the Momokas. Like it's not like unless she's getting a Meiho Suzuki or a Natsuki Tayo or a Riko Kaiju, like I don't see her having any more longevity with the belt.
yeah, yeah. It's you kind of need outsiders at that point because she's beaten everybody else, but
Yeah.
they don't seem interested in bringing in any of the high speed outsiders. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
Which is
Where
dumb, let me remind
Saki
you.
Kashima is kind of like the only person left to win, and the thing with Saki is then she can basically drop it to whoever they need to, like whenever they need it to.
Yeah.
So it's I think she'd be a good choice for champion. But yeah, the Naniwa,
And she could beat anybody at any
that's
time.
true.
It's very easy.
But yeah, the Naniwa roulette thing, again, great idea. The execution and do it some work. I feel like it's just one of those things where a lot more of the wrestlers need to go, okay, what am I gonna actually do with my time here? Because some of the Mayu matches were just so bland and simplistic, and you're like, you can all do better than this. So did pick up towards the end where it was a lot more focused and like there was a clear plan with what to do. Um, opener for to get people on the show, get the crowd kind of into it, let them cheer for whoever. And then we had our first tag match of the evening. It was
You know what we missed of the news is
oh
you skipped having to be Excalibur, um,
yeah,
and mentioning every single participant of the Cinderella tournament.
that is true. I actually kind of forgot about it because it's not the full because the Stardom English account didn't tweet it.
There's 2. There are 2 missing
Yeah, and the Stardom
members.
English account basically ignored this. I'm pretty sure
Yes,
Dana, the translator, like said it like the day after the show. She was like, "Oh, I guess the Stardom
she
account
did.
just didn't bother with this, but they've announced the people in the Cinderella." Um, but yeah, they've announced it's the shit, I forgot last word. doesn't vibe with my computer.
I also wrote one.
Oh, is this going to be another case where it's the three of us now, me, you, and Scott, the top results? Oh my god,
Let me
what is
see.
wrong with my computer?
Last word, Reddit, me, and then 411.
Ah,
No
damn,
Scott this time.
Scott letting us down. Oh god, this is not going good. Computer, it just
I also put Mina Shirakawa as my cover because she's obviously winning.
that's valid. I put MIRAI because she won the last one.
She was my second. She went in for my second slide, like my second picture.
That's fair.
Uh,
But
but
yeah,
yeah,
so
I really don't have. I would, but I'm not. You could do it.
so we have the biggest field yet, I'm pretty sure, with 36
Yes.
participants. They announced 34. It was a very low key announcement. Like people just there was like a very like somber track in the background as everybody just
It was
popped up.
very
Yeah, it was
minimal.
very just whatever. Um, the announced lineup so far is Utami Hayashishita, Azumi, Hazuki, Koguma, Momokogo, Tam Nakano, Natsupoi, Tekla, Mai Sakurai, Maika, Himeka, Lady C, Hina, Miyu Amasaki, aka Kevin, Natsuko Tora, Momo Watanabe, Mina Shirakawa, Mariah May, Ami Sore, Tomoka Inaba, Rocka, Rina, Suri, Starlight Kid, Riku Umasaki, Saki Kashima, Mayu Iwatani, Sai Ida, Hanan, Nanai Takahashi, Yuna Mizumori, Sai Kamatani, Julia, Mirai, and two surprise entrants. Um, Pretty much the entire native roster is here except for Wakasukiyama. Um,
Yeah. So the notable admissions, I have 4 of them. Notable admissions are Yu, Wakasukiyama, Unagi Sayaka, and Suzuki.
None of the prominence
And
crew
then
are in it.
obviously like there's no colors.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no colors, no prominence. But I think those are the 4 that maybe people might have expected, and they aren't here.
So
Uh,
with
whereas I don't think anybody was like, "Where's Saki?" You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like I don't think.
I hope not. With Waka, I believe that they might have her like earn her way into the tournament because I can't see her just not being in it for no reason. You know,
How does she earn it though? She can't win.
does she not wrestle Nanai before this kicks off? The day
No,
before.
she wrestles in the. Is it on the
Yeah, it's
25th?
because they're doing the back-to-back at Yokohama, aren't they?
Let me see.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So I'm pretty sure Nanai might like, or Waka might earn her way in. Because why would you not put her in unless she's gonna like go away for a little bit after the Nanai match?
Yeah, maybe. I imagine that she might actually just go away for a little bit after the night
God.
match. That would make
Oh,
sense.
maybe. I don't know.
If she loses, maybe she. Oh my God! What if she turns heel?
I don't know.
Like, what if she Hana Kimura's fucking Tam? Like the Kagetsu Tam match from fucking forever ago.
I don't think so.
That would be so interesting though. Hits her with a chair while she's running off the ropes.
Yeah, sure. If
I don't know.
anyway, Waka isn't in it. The entire rest of the native roster is in there. And then you have, Nanai and Yuna. And Yuna, I mean, at this stage, is basically one of them because she's on every show.
Smoke Inaba's in it as well.
Inaba's cool, is a cool get. And yeah, I mean, listen,
Umasaki is also there.
Ishirakawa being there because she's the presumed winner. So we'll have to wait and see who the two slots are for. Because if one of them is Mayukihi, it kind of does turn everything on its head. But we'll have to wait and see on that. Um, anyway,
Yep.
back to the review. We had a triangle derby match. It was Hazuki, Koguma, and Saida of Classmates beating Haruka Umasaki, Starlight Kid, and Rocka, also known as Unique Glare. Koguma got the win in 9 minutes for her team with a roll up. Um,
On Starlight
Hell yeah.
Kid.
And this match really made me realize that as cool as cheering is for like the big matches, it is really helpful to the undercard because
Bro, Koguma was a fucking
yeah,
star.
like the crowd
Like that
the
was
crowd
dope.
getting to react to this made it so much better than it would have been with just a clap crowd because they got to like boo Starlight Kid, they got to boo Rocka, they were really, cheering for Koguma. Like this is a match that's just enhanced by that cheering crowd. And the
Yeah.
undercard is really gonna benefit from it because it seems like there's quite a few people throughout the card the crowd is into, like Waka, like Koguma, like Lady C. You know, her stuff was getting big reactions.
Mhm.
So like I thought this was a good match, largely because the crowd was just so into Koguma, and Kid did really well at getting them to boo her, and she was like the only member of Muay Thai that got heat. Like Natsuko got cheers, Momo was pretty popular, Saki Kashima was pretty popular, Death was pretty popular, but Kid was able to get
Kid's
boos.
annoying.
Umasaki continues to be confused because she was getting them to clap for her while wrestling for the heel team.
Yeah.
She is just completely out of her depth, I guess. But yeah, no,
I don't know, like, I know I've said this a million times, but, like, I feel like they went for, like, 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 mix match of, like, "Oh, this, like, white meat babyface teaming with them. Wahaha, I'm evil." And, like, how is that gonna work? They're gonna have a cool dynamic. And no, Umasaki is just, like, nothing while Kid does her
yeah,
shtick. You know what I mean? Like like, it's not like a contrast, it's just Umasaki being reduced down to nothing. But she did have a good thing with Hazuki
but
in
yeah,
this match, I
the
do
work
remember.
was
They
good.
had a fun.
Yeah, and
Yeah, she had good work with
the
Hazuki.
crowd just enhanced it that little bit more. But yeah, that was
Yeah, and the roll up ending was really good with them doing a bunch of rolls and the crowd buying into it a lot. Koguma won. I did love this was one of my favorite times Koguma's ever won because I was arguing with Velke, uh, and he tweeted at me. He was like, because I was like, "Damn, the Bear's more over than Starlight Kid." Mwahaha. And he's like, "Man, watch when Starlight Kid beats the Bear, and you're gonna cry." And I was like, "What the fuck did you say? What the fuck did you say? Because who beat who?" And I was so excited. I was so excited to own Voke in that moment. It was so fun. It was so fun. I've never enjoyed a Kokomo win more than this match.
that is fair.
I was into it.
That's fair. Velke does bring that side out of people. That's he's very
Yeah.
fun to get one over on. um,
Like I said eat shit bitch and sent him a Tekken gif.
oh my god.
It was so good. It was so good.
Now the next match on the show then was another tag match. This was the Konami return. It was Konami, Amisore, and Shuri beating Lady C, Azumi, and Utami Hayashishita. Konami got the win for her team with the Triangle Lancer. Um, yeah, the most over person in this match was basically Lady C. um,
She had the best performance too. I was like, damn,
uh,
this is a Lady C
uh,
carry? That's
like
crazy.
I was surprised because Utami and Shuri got nothing. Like this, the crowd was just like didn't cheer for them or like do much.
Azumi and Konami started things off, and I think the crowd was kind of
Yeah.
into it. Which I was obviously happy about. I mentioned it last week that these two were my favorite tag team of 2018. They're the cops, shout out. But yeah, I mean, Azumi started things off, and she like it was nice to see Azumi get beat up. I feel like because that was probably the better, and then have Lady C do the hot tag because it definitely was better than Lady C just kind of getting beat up, and then
Yeah.
eventually, I think that the way they layered it was smart, but it definitely led to nobody getting any reaction except for Lady C. And her hot tag is dope.
Yes.
Like I knew that it was pretty cool, but her hot tag with a fucking crowd that's into it is like one of the best hot tags I've seen in a minute. Like I was dumbfounded. It was really fun. That choke slam with the pop is crazy.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like the crowd just really likes all of her offense. Like everything she does, they're like, "Oh hell yeah, that's cool," which is great. I must say, Konami just like did they give her the phone call late? She just didn't seem very
This is the
arsed.
most phoned in that
Like,
I've
even
seen
when she was
Konami
like doing
since.
her poses on the entrance, she just looked like she couldn't have cared less. I was like, dude, what? Like, what's happening? Like, she just didn't seem to care. It was so interesting.
I do think a part of it is that this is like the first full-fledged God's Eye because like she has new
Yeah.
gear. Uh so like and like she can't just be like weirdo vampire Konami anymore because that's just not who she is anymore. But she doesn't have any like new poses because why would she work on a new pose when she shows up twice a year? You know what I mean? Like so she's just kind of like lost in it, which is like I mean, she wasn't bad. Like it wasn't a
Oh
bad
no.
performance. It was just she just phoned it
She
in.
just didn't bring anything to the table, which I mean, when you're only
Yeah.
showing up every now and then, maybe you want to do a bit more.
You kind of want a bit
Uh,
more, but
So
Yeah.
I don't know. That was just I was just surprised because she's usually like got the working boots on and is like very into it, but she just
She jumps off the
yeah.
page for sure.
Here she just like didn't project all that much or anything. Like it was a very low key return for her. And, we wait until we see her again, I guess. Um,
She did get Lady C with the Triangle
she
Lancer,
did.
which I don't know if y'all know, but that has 100% winning percentage. That's true.
Shaq percent though.
Shock percent.
Um, the match after that, then we kicked this show into high gear. Chihiro Hashimoto beats MIRAI in 15 minutes. What a match! This was match of the show. I
Very
like
good. I
quite, of
disagree,
course you
but
do, but this was the match of the show by anybody's estimation. MIRAI was getting the MIRAI chance. This is what we waited for. And it wasn't as vocal as maybe we were expecting. I think the crowd is still trying to find the groove, but she,
she why did she do the clap like that?
I don't know.
Like the clap ruled, but it doesn't work for
Cool.
Mirai.
Yeah,
Mirai,
that's how they
Mirai. Like it
chant.
works kinda.
Always do 3 syllables.
Yes.
So
But I like it just I don't know, it felt like people were like not they didn't they wanted to clap or they wanted to cheer and they didn't do both. You know what I mean?
the JTO crowd was able to do it. So Stardom's just gonna have to get into it
Yes.
anyway. Um, this was amazing because Hashimoto an absolute beast, and she was just destroying Mirai. As we all know, Mirai working from underneath is the greatest thing, but Mirai working from underneath with
Yep.
a crowd chanting for her to get back into it, beautiful. Just beautiful. Like, this was so well done. Hashimoto was throwing this woman around. Like, this was almost everything I wanted this match to be. Like, Hashimoto came away from it looking like an absolute monster. Like, the way she was throwing Mirai around, the angle she got on that German suplex at the end was
Dude, that was gross.
ridiculous. Like, Mirai took everything she had, and she was like firing back as well. I thought Mirai on the comebacks was very good, but like Hashimoto just put in such a great performance here to really make herself look like a real threat to Suri.
Yeah, I mean, Mirai got eaten alive. Let's
Yeah.
be real. Let's call a spade a spade. It was great, but she got eaten alive, and I found it funny because I was like, so much of this match is just Mirai trying to like grap with a fucking near Olympian, like somebody who went to the Olympic trials and failed. But like that is absurd. But I love it. Shout out to Mirai. And I thought this match. I watched it twice because when I watched it live, I noticed that everybody else was like vibing with it way more than I was, and I was like, okay, I'm missing something. So I watched it again, and I was like, okay, I get it. This was a fucking really really good match. Second for me still, but I thought this was really great. And yeah, I mean, when you watch it, you just feel like Chihiro can't lose as a human being. Like she's incapable of losing a wrestling match. That's how it felt. And I've seen Chihiro Hashimoto lose wrestling matches before, but if I had never seen him before, I'd be like, "There's no way that this person loses at all," because she's felt like so in control, and even when she was uh, on the disadvantage, she was still be getting. She still had that control, and she still was like immediately back on it as soon as she found an opening. And I thought it was a really smart match in that way.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I thought the Germans were great near the end. Mirai with the clotheslines, that whole segment was really really good. Obviously, back in the day, we called Mirai's lariat the clothesline that knocked over Aja Kong for the first time in like a decade because Aja don't take bumps, but she did for Mirai, and that was dope. Um, but yeah, she also has the lariat that takes down Chihiro Hashimoto, so that was pretty dope. And yeah, really, really good
Mhm.
match. Shout out to Mirai. She's one of the best post match sellers I've ever
Yes.
seen.
Yeah.
Cause she did the thing again. She did the thing again that she did when Umasaki brained her with the chair, where she just doesn't
Yes.
move
It's
after the
so
match.
funny.
She just lays there while shit happens around her. She just lays there and does not move an inch. Like you're like, is she alive? Because like this is crazy.
Yeah, no, the post match was great. Like she sells death better than anybody else. Um,
Like Shuri had to walk over her dead body, and Hash had to also walk over her dead body to like confront each other, and she just
mhm.
wasn't moving. It was great.
In the post match promo, there was some interesting stuff thrown around. Hashimoto was like, "Oh, you're the self-proclaimed ace of Stardom, really? Okay. You're the one." And she was saying that the next Stardom big match, I want another strong opponent that isn't Siri. So they're gonna do another.
I imagine it'll be Ami.
No, they wouldn't step down like that, would they?
They
I
would.
don't know. I think it'll be somebody else. But she.
I mean, who are they gonna feed? I mean, dude, give me Saida versus Hashimoto. I mean, that's a step down too, just literally. But like, who is she gonna beat? Is she they gonna feed? I mean, they could
Someone
maybe
from
feed Himeka
DDM,
Micah.
yeah, Micah, maybe.
That would be a
Yeah.
good match, but that would be rough. I feel like Hashimoto's coming in to just fuck up
Yeah,
everybody that you like in
that's the
Stardom,
point.
which is cool. I'm
Yeah.
rocking with it. But like, I'm just like, damn, Micah is never gonna win another match, huh?
So I don't know when they're doing that match, but they do have Hashimoto locked in for another date to beat the shit out of somebody. And Shuri afterwards was like, ah, after watching that, I remember how strong Chihiro is, and I was just like, yeah, you might do. She did just pick apart Mirai, like, but yeah,
I love how Shuri, like, she watches one of her best friends get massacred in the ring. She's like,
yeah,
interesting.
it's great.
I respect your game. It's like, dude, she's dead on the ground.
Yeah, but it's Shuri, should be fine. Um, Yeah, no, that match, everything I could have asked for. This Shuri Hashimoto thing is so fun, and Hashimoto in Stardom is great. She's a very great addition. Um, so yeah, that was fantastic. Um, I hope they get somebody good for the next match because I feel like if you can get somebody even close to this, then Hashimoto goes into that Shuri match with like all of the momentum in the world. So that'll feel like the biggest match possible. Um, but the next match on the show, and one that I imagine you really want to dive into, the Goddess of Stardom Championship match. It was Yu and Nanai Takahashi beating Himeka and Maika in 19 minutes, and Nanai pinned and injured Himeka with the 1 second X. So yeah, this got a lot of praise. The crowd was probably the loudest for this match than it was the entire show. Like they
Yep.
loved Himeka, which I thought was surprising. Like they were very into Himeka. They got into Micah once the story of the match played out, and I think the Nine U were probably the only people who didn't get any kind of like vocal support. But maybe that's just because the people were like, "Please stop beating the shit out of our favorites," right? Because like you has essentially
Yeah.
massacred
And
some of the most popular people in this company, and maybe the fan base is like, "Please don't,
Nanai
please."
Nanai said that afterwards. She was like, "Oh, I beat you guys as favorites. That's tough." And everybody just like did not make a noise. And she's like, "It was fun though. That was you guys had fun. I heard you." And they're like, "Yeah, whatever." It was great. Yeah, I love this match. This is my favorite match of the year so far. Um, because it was something, right? So it diverted expectations big time. Because obviously you go into this, it's my Hime 7 Up. You kind of expect that hoss fight that you get from a lot of the like top tier My Hime matches, where they just kind of like throw everything at the wall and just fucking beat the shit out of each other. But instead, like 2 minutes into the match, they Himeka and Micah did like stereo jumps, dives into the outside, and Himeka fucked up her knee, right? And you didn't get to watch this live, but so I imagined you knew that, oh, Himeka lived to see another day,
Yes.
right? Watching this live and watching it with the timeline, right? Like watching it like with like scrolling through Twitter while you were kind of watching it, every single person I saw was actively concerned. Like everybody I saw got
Yeah.
worked in by the injury, including me. Because my heart sank, right? And I was like, "Oh no, oh fuck, please tell me," because I obviously I've been looking forward to this match, so my heart sank, right? And she was on the outside for a while, and then you're like, "Are they gonna stop the fucking match? Please don't stop the match. Please don't be a Natsuko again. Please don't do that." And then Micah got in, and a little part of me was still like, "Okay, so are they just gonna have Micah 2-on-1 it and then lose and just since there is still somebody who can wrestle, are they just gonna you know rush the finish?" And then as time went on, you start realizing, oh, this is a work. I got worked. That's dope. But you already have that like feeling of just like tension because for me, one of my favorite wrestlers almost got injured, and I thought she got injured. So you already have that feeling of tension. And I always say that wrestling's at its best when like you feel emotional about something about the wrestling. So I was already emotional. I was already sad that one of my favorite wrestlers got fucked up, and she didn't. So from there, the match just fucking went 100 miles per hour, and it was great. The crowd was obviously super into it. Micah doing the 2-on-1 against Yuna and I was fucking incredible. Like you said, the crowd got really into it. She did a stalling suplex on you, and the crowd was eating it up because they were like, "Holy fucking shit, this girl is strong!" Right? It was dope. You could see Lady C on the outside crying as she's trying to help Hameka get back into the ring. Um, like shit like that was just like really dope. My Sakurai on commentary was also like uh on the verge of tears watching and talking. Um and then yeah, Hameka gave the one of the best babyface performances I've seen in a while. Uh from the comeback and trying to beat Nanai. I actively yelled obscenities in my room when Nanai kicked out of the concussion bomb. Like I just went, "Fuck, man! Why the fuck did that?" Like I was actively really, I was hooked, right? If you couldn't tell,
Mhm.
super hooked. I bit on like every near fall. I was getting really worked up, and then Nanai won, and I was like, "Fuck, Nanai's so good. Why is she so good? Why does this have to happen to me?" It was so good. It was such a good match. Obviously, if you don't give a fuck about MaiHime, it won't be as good as it was for me. But as somebody who has spent the past month and a half, 2 months writing a fucking 2,500 word article about how My Hime just needs one win and they can really like just they need something to grasp onto and they will be the best wrestlers in the company basically. Uh, Watching this just felt so personal to me and it felt so good to hear the crowd get so into it. It was just a really great match. I enjoyed it so much. Um, there were obviously some downfalls. I'm sure if I watched it once or twice back, I would be like, "Oh, that was a bit weak." Oh, that. But I'm not gonna watch it back because that's how I felt when I watched it, and I don't want to replace that feeling. So I love this match. I think anybody should check it out. But like I imagine Alex isn't as fond of it as I am, even though I'm sure you thought it was a good match.
Oh, it was an excellent match, yeah. I mean, Mariah and Hashimoto was just like a small bit better, but this was pretty great too. Um,
They were very different
they
matches, right? I think that's
really,
the thing.
I don't
Is
know.
like
I mean, I guess this,
I mean they were both about struggle.
yeah, like this one obviously had the injury angle, but I feel like they both were very much like the crowd ferociously rooting for uh more passionate fighters. Like I don't know. Um,
You can't say that in a match with Nai. Come on now. She
yeah,
is
whatever.
passionate.
But yeah, no, this was an excellent tag match. I mean, listen, tag wrestling's great, but you add in a hot crowd, and you've got a recipe for success. On any other show, without Chihiro Hashimoto trying to rip somebody's head off in the match beforehand, this would be match of the show. Um, Honestly, those last two matches sabotaged the rest of this card because the last two matches just didn't even come close to hitting what these two did.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a shame.
for a lot of reasons. But I mean, anytime you get two matches of this quality on a show, you're not really going to complain because
It made this a very weird show,
yeah.
right? Because like it was so up and like the last two matches, in my opinion, a lot of people said that the Saya Momo match was bad. I didn't think it was bad. I thought that fell
Mhm.
off. Like if they kind of like lost it near the end. I didn't think it was a bad match though. I thought it was pretty solid. Um, Same with Julian Tuzo. I thought that was pretty solid, even though it kind of had a hard time building momentum. But it just like expectations of those last two matches. Um, were so much higher than any other top 2 matches of any card that I've seen in months. Uh, so like that like really took a lot of wind out of like a lot of people for this card, but the card was still
Yeah.
great. But also it lost momentum. But also it was just it was a bizarre show. We could talk about the last 2 matches now though.
Yeah, so the first of those was Saya Kamatani defending the Wonder of Stardom Championship against Momo Watanabe. Utami, or not Utami, Saya won in 17 minutes with a Firebird Splash. Um, yeah, like,
Momo matches are
yeah,
shorter.
they are.
That's weird because I remember Shuri Momo went kind of
Yeah,
short too.
she's old school. What can we say?
Like it,
Um,
and I'm cool with it, but I was just like, huh,
yeah, this
weird.
I don't really know what this was. Like, this wasn't a standard Momo match, but it also wasn't a standard Saya match. It was just complete mess almost. But
It was
Yeah,
so
I don't
weird.
know. Like this Saya reign has absolutely slammed into a wall. Like I don't know what happened, but I feel like the creativity has gone down a notch. Her performances have gone down a notch. Like ever since like the Mina match. I mean, the matches haven't been amazing. Obviously,
I mean, there was the Kyrie
yeah,
match.
and that was a weird match. Like
That
we
was
at
weird.
the time, everybody was like,
That was not.
that was a
Yeah,
very weird match. That was great, but also not great at the same time. Like her reign has just gone from, oh, she's one of the best wrestlers operating right now, to where you're like, yeah, you're kind of under delivering, and I'm not sure where that came in, and maybe it's just because
I
it's
think.
she's at defense number 14. We've just seen it all.
Yeah, she's coming up on
He's done it
14.
all. That because those first defenses, there was always something new she would pull out. She was always like doing something or trying something. Now she's
Yeah.
not doing that.
I mean, but I mean, she didn't pull out like half of her big
Yeah,
moves in this one though. That's the thing. Like, it wasn't even like, oh, she's just like she's done everything, so there's nothing new to take from her. She just didn't
yeah.
do like some
And
of her
neither did
coolest. I mean,
Momo,
obviously the Phoenix
honestly.
Splash. No, oh yeah, no. I think that people are giving Saya a lot more crap than she deserves necessarily, because I think they both fucked it up. Like, I feel like a lot of people are very hesitant to criticize Momo because everybody wants Momo to be great, and I think she is great. But this was just as much of a fuck up from Momo as it was it from Saya.
Yeah.
Because they definitely just didn't do anything after the table spot, which didn't really
Mm.
land. They just stopped. Like they just stopped. You know what I mean? Like that was kind of the end of the match. Um, Like, I mean, Saya didn't do the fucking, the schoolboy, chaos
Mhm.
theory gimmick. She didn't do any of those types of moves. She didn't really do a lot of moves. She just she hit the tequila sunrise at the end and then won with the Firebird, which is a whole nother conversation about the Phoenix Splash that I've been telling you guys for months. You guys should have known. Um, but yeah, I really liked the opening sequence too. That was the upsetting thing. Is that like I really liked their
Oh,
first like
this match
40
started
seconds. I was
with
like,
Momo kicking her in the head, and I went, "Here we go!" Like we're
yeah,
into it.
yeah. The first 40 seconds where they're just kind of like maneuvering around each other, Momo kicks her in the head. It's like fucking like perfect. And then they went into the Starlight Kid, uh, dragged her out to the outside, and they started doing hijinks or whatever. It was
Mm.
fine. Like, I mean, it threw it off its rhythm a little bit, but I was like, this isn't offensive. It'll be fine. And then, Momo threw the box at Saya's head, mid springboard. Great spot. But then it just never went back to the ring. You know what I mean? Like, when once it did, it was just a barren match,
Yeah,
which is a shame because I liked the flow they had. Like they had something cooking, and then it just stopped, which is a shame.
yeah. I don't know. I feel like just the creativity in these Saya matches has gone way down, and it's just led to a lot of meh. You know, um, but
And I
I
mean,
don't like. I feel
I
like she was
think
meant to lose this belt a while ago, and that's why we're here. Because she and they are like, okay, well, we're gonna put you against whoever, and she's out of ideas for what to do, and we're seeing now what her matches are like without that. But I don't know. Even then, I just Momo wasn't great in this one either, so I can't fully blame it on Saya. They just I don't know, man. Nobody seems to know.
there's
It just
also there's also a case of expectations, I think,
I mean, it's
because
so I don't know. Like, is it weird to expect two very talented wrestlers to have a good match? Because
I don't think Momo's operating at her peak anymore. I don't think Saya is either. Like, I think Momo's peak was probably like 2019. I mean, it depends
Momo had a
on which
great
Momo you like
GP
more.
though.
The
Like Momo was great in that tournament, so she's been great recently. Yeah,
last year, I wouldn't say that's anywhere near her
yeah, but
peak though.
she's still great.
Like, I would say that's still an active
She's still
step down.
great. Like I don't know. I feel like she's still operating at a high level. Maybe not the highest level ever, but a high level. Like she's a great wrestler. Saya, I mean, even on her worst day, is usually pretty good, but this time it didn't work out. Um, I don't know. Maybe it's just that Saya needs those finishing stretches. I guess her best matches have been the ones with the badass finishing stretches. Um,
Yeah, this one
and this
just didn't
didn't
have
have
that.
it.
Which is wild because Momo also
Yeah,
has great finishing stretches.
Momo and Mayu's matches are almost entirely built off of the cool finishing stretches, but they just
I mean,
didn't have it.
Momo Shuri,
Yeah.
dude. Like that was like Momo's best matches and Saya's best matches have a similar
Mm.
structure. And they just didn't they just decided to choose a different structure, which part of it is because, Momo's a heel now, so she has to get some of her heel stuff in. And part of it's because Saya just doesn't maybe she lost confidence after the Phoenix Splash thing. Maybe that Kyrie gimmick was not a gimmick. Like maybe that was just actually true and she's kind of like uh become a bit more cautious, not just with the Phoenix, but just with a lot of her
Yeah.
moves. Because it feels like she's doing a lot of safe moves and too out of you know nothing too out of left field. It was kind of what made her great was that she would just randomly pull out a move she's never done before and it would hit clean and it was perfect. I don't think she really does that anymore. Maybe out of a lack of confidence, maybe out of just not do. I don't know what's going
I
on.
don't know either. I guess we just have to hope she drops the belt soon and gets to kind of readjust. And we'll put this one behind us eventually. It's not like this wasn't a bad match anyway. Like I thought it was very good. It's just
No,
that the
I
bar is
enjoyed it.
so high for what Saya has been doing, and the bar is so high for Momo Watanabe that a very good match is kind of just under delivers, especially after the two matches that we just had. Like the MIRAI and Hashimoto cleared this one by a distance.
There is also an interesting dynamic for Momo. Uh, like she tweeted about it. Uh, and like after the match, and I might write about this because like it was just like a second, but I really found a lot of interest in it. Um, she looked like Saya went over to her after she won. She looked her in the eyes. Momo looked at her, looked at the belt, and just pet the belt and walked away. And I was like, huh, that's an interesting development. Uh, because Momo doesn't hate the white belt anymore. She tweeted it. She's like, huh, I guess the white belt shines a bit brighter than I thought it did. And that's for somebody who's an old head, for somebody who was there, not literally there, but somebody who watched Momo's white belt reign back in the day, that is very like major
Yeah.
for Momo as a character, right? To like recognize her position. She never does that. She's always like, no, I should be red belt champion right now. No, I should be red belt champion right now. But now she's like, I couldn't even win this belt. Maybe it does shine brighter. Maybe it is a bit more important. Maybe I need to like reassess that a bit. And I think that's really interesting. But that's for a long-winded article that I'm sure I'll write at some point.
That's great. Yeah, I mean that's kind of a nice little thing. Because this is probably where she's gonna be for the next while. So hopefully she does win it again.
Oh, she's in the mic spot.
Yeah.
She's in the mic
So
spot
I
now.
don't know, but yeah, that was that match. Kind of a very underwhelming match all around. I don't even think it has a good cage match score. I will check now because cage match isn't the be all end all, but it is usually.
Especially not
Yeah,
with
but
Stardom.
there's
I
usually
feel like
a
it's
solid
very
enough.
varied.
Yeah, that's 7.4. Like that is so low compared to a lot of stuff. Like that's just barely above the
For a
tags.
cage match, right? Yeah.
um,
I have it at a 7-2, which is also roughly around where the Triangle
ah,
Derby match was.
fair enough. Yeah.
So yeah.
So yeah, from that underwhelming match to a match that I thought had a mixed reception, but apparently it's been better received than I thought. Julia beat Suzu Suzuki in 25 minutes.
This wait, there's no way this has a higher score than both.
Yeah,
That's
I was gonna
crazy.
say that.
That's not right. I'm gonna be real. That is
Yeah,
not
because
correct.
this has an 8.7 on Cage Match. You know what though? That is exactly what they were going for. The Cage Match inmates love this kind of match, right? But we'll introduce it first. So Julia beats Suzu in 25 minutes with a Northern Lights bomb to retain the World of Stardom Championship. Julia debuted her new entrance theme before the match. Obviously, people don't like
Mixed reception.
change, and it's not a rock song, so a lot of people are predisposed to hating it. I think it's good. I like it. It's very,
I like the song, but it's definitely funny that she debuted it like when she is the top dog,
That's
right?
that's
Like,
the
I feel like
thing.
it would be the
This
other way
I feel
around.
like that's meant to be like this is a different Julia almost. Like I feel like that's what we're meant to be getting here. She's the champion now. She's a different Julia. Cause like
So she's just working off vibes?
yeah,
'Cause this is a
s-
vibe song. Like, this isn't a final boss song. What that's the
look at her
interesting thing
robes.
is
Her
because she
robes
wasn't.
are even her
Huh?
robe. It's like
Oh, yeah, the
more
robes.
like flashy and
Vibey.
extravagant. She had the red in the front of her hair. She has the
They are putting her next to Naito a
s-
lot. I
on the
forget who
Shupro
mentioned
cover
this.
together.
I think it might have been. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it might have been,
Hmm?
like, Armani or whatever, that he was like, "Oh, yeah, they are very clearly putting them near each other in every promotional thing that anybody does now
Yeah.
is Julia and Naito." Um, which is interesting. I think they definitely are kinda going for that, like, more cool vibe for Julia than, like, this imposing threat, even though she is obviously an imposing threat.
Yeah, I just feel like it was the change of entrance theme fits this new kind of energy that she's got because everything just is a bit more brighter than it used to be. Um, even down to the mask and the hair and the entrance robes and stuff like that. So I did like the song. I think it's gonna grow on a lot of people. It's got that like long epic intro that lets you kind of feel the moment.
I don't think they're gonna
They're not
keep
gonna
that
keep
intro, though.
the old part, but even the piano bit is kind of long enough to
Yeah.
where the mood sets in enough, I think. So I really liked it. I think the mask is cool as well. I always like masks. Red hair at the front is an odd choice, but
Oh, she
yeah,
fucked it up. She said that she meant it to be a different, like, a
right.
darker
Yeah,
red,
because I
but
assume she's
she
meant to
couldn't get
like
it that
match
deep
the
that soon.
belt, right? She's red, everything's red because she's
Yeah.
the red belt champion. Yeah, because it looked almost pink. A lot of people thought it was meant to be for Hannah, and I was like, I think this is red because she's red
No,
belt
it was
champ.
pink, but it was
Yeah,
an
I think I
accident.
was like, I think this is just
Yeah.
meant to be red for the red belt. So, but yeah, new Julia very much for her first defense, and I think that's kind of interesting. Um, now the match itself. Last week when we did our hour preview, I said these two have been saying we want to have a pay-per-view main event in a big arena. There was a chance
I was
that
wrong.
they could go for a very standard pay-per-view main event. I think the reason why there was a lot of blowback to this match from certain sections of the fan base is
It's 'cause they did
did
that.
there was a great review of this match on Cage Match. Let me grab it for you. Hold on. So,
Alrighty.
right, so this was wrote by Kyle. Right. So, Kyle, I don't know if you listen. You're very smart. So it says a good match that fell short due to being one-sided towards Suzuki and working a bit too traditional a style. These two have such fire and chemistry, it was slightly disappointing to see them have a match that most top Joshi talents could have. This wasn't
Yeah.
like, like the first Suzu Julia match, that was very much Suzu and Julia. They're both violent, they were both being violent. That was explicitly those two wrestling. This match is them kind of just going, okay, here's what a big pay per view main event is. We're going to do our version of that, right? You could have had almost anybody in this ring, it would have been the same. I feel like that's
Can I this is off topic, but they spell Billy Ken Death as Billy Ken
it's amazing.
Death on Deathmatch or on Cage Match. It's great. But yeah, go on, sorry.
But I think that's why a lot of people were disappointed because this didn't feel like a Julia versus Suzu match. This just felt like pay per view main event that just so happened to have Julia and Suzu in it, right? And they still did
Yeah,
great. Like Suzu put
100%.
in an amazing performance. Like Suzu really carried this one to the next level, but this didn't have that hint of emotion and personality that their first match had. I think that's why there was a lot of disappointment. Is just because it just fell into a lot of the standard kind of main event tropes almost. And that's why I think it's
100%.
it's high on Cage Match because people who watch Cage Match they don't care about that stuff. They are okay to just watch their standard main events, right? Um, but obviously, a lot of the people we would know, big fans of Suzu. They know Suzu. They want to see a Suzu match and not just her doing tropes, right? Um,
And it's interesting because I feel like Julia went away from tropes for a while, and that's why she had such a
yeah,
great second
yes,
half of the year last year. is because I mean that's like okay. I need to preface this by saying this match was quite good. I thought it was good. Obviously I have my issues with it. I didn't think that was like um initially I had the Momo Sai match
Oh,
over this. But after thinking about it a bit more, I was like, okay, that one definitely fell off. This one had more like it had more I don't know, just had more substance. But like the vibes of the Wonder Star match, I preferred to the
wow.
main event match. Uh, but after thinking about it a little bit more and a little bit more critically, I was like, well, if you are actually talking about like what happened in the match, the main event was obviously better. But the issue that a lot of people had with Julia for a long time was that her big matches were so
Mhm.
run of the mill, and she did not shine in any of them. Like because it felt like anybody can do this match. Julia is just the one there, the person who's around. Uh, and that was like an issue for a lot of people with her white belt run. A lot of people around the time she was tag champion, I mean the TAM matches, a lot of those matches leading up until this year when she had the Shuri match, or last year when she had the Shuri match that really changed things in the fall, I'm just fucking everything up. I'm saying, when she had the Shuri match in the spring, and then after that, she kind of really like started to diverge from that. But this felt like she got back to the lane, and nobody. I don't like that personally. I think Julia has a lot more substance that she can deliver. But also, I think that the second match of any series is always an
Mhm.
outlier. Um, whether it's far and away the best or it's far and away the worst. I feel like that's like very common for like great series. Um, My example is I've always, and this is like a me thing, I've always thought that the Okada Kenny draw was their best match, the second one. Whereas like, Briscoes versus FTR, I thought their second match was definitely the weakest one. And they both are usually it's usually an outlier, right? Uh I hope this is an outlier, and like this is the weakest of the Julia Suzu series, and I imagine there will be more Julia Suzu matches. Um but yeah, I was definitely disappointed overall, even though I thought there was some good
Yeah, I
work
mean,
here.
I thought it was a great match, mostly because of Suzu. I thought Suzu was fantastic in it. I thought they went an interesting way in that, a lot of the times in a match like this, the loser will like they won't hit their big moves, whereas Suzu emptied the tank. So it was very clearly like
Yeah.
if Suzu is to beat Julia, she needs to find something else, right? So they did leave that kind of on the table. And Julia, I thought, didn't go back to that super finisher. She won with the Northern Lights bomb, and I think that's
She did not.
cool. And I hope that she continues to protect the Northern Lights bomb so that when she has to do the Glorious variant, it is obviously more important. Um, they did leave a lot of they did do stuff like that where I'm kind of glad. I think there's good signs. And Suzu, again, her performance was exceptional. There was some crazy stuff that they did because, of course, they did. But yeah, like it definitely on a show where I got to see Mirai and Hashimoto have a match that was so gripping and so unique to them. Watching these two just kind of do a very standard main event match, I was kind of like, yeah, that was great, but I care a lot more about the Mirai versus Hashimoto. You know, like I care a lot more about the Seven Up versus MaiHime match because those were matches that actually did something. Whereas this was just them to this is what they wanted. Like Suzu and Julia said this from the outset, so I'm not like upset or whatever. But they just went out there to have a cool main event, and they had a cool main event. And for some people, they wanted a bit more. I can understand that, but I mean, I don't mind it. I didn't mind it,
Yeah,
although
I felt like it had a hard time
yeah,
building
that's I feel
momentum
like that's the thing.
overall.
Julia works at her best when she's chomping into something. And for whatever reason, she just
Yeah.
resisted jumping into it for this match. I don't know if it's because she said, okay, we can't go too emotional, we can't go too dramatic, we have to do X, Y, and Z.
But you
But
can. Like that's
I know.
so
But
bizarre.
I
Like
feel
go
like
on,
from
sorry.
now on, I hope that she goes back to biting into whatever she has, because that is where she's at her best. And this was just her getting it out of her system and them trying to have like a match that will get them votes on a year end award thingy or whatever. Um,
Which is also wild because they almost won
yeah,
the match of the year last year
yeah.
with their emotional
So
showcase.
yeah, I mean, while I enjoyed it, I can see why a lot of people didn't, and like I definitely wasn't as interested in it as I was in like MIRAI versus Hashimoto. Um, I mean, ultimately, Suzu Suzuki is like too good to ever have a
The
bad
best
match.
young
Like
wrestler.
she put in a shift, and that really kept this one going. Um,
The Gonzo bomb on the apron was
yeah,
fucking
yeah. Like there
sick.
was
I
enough
will say that.
insane spots where I was like, yeah, you know what, I can give them a pass. Um, but definitely Julia, please go back to just killing bitches. That is what you do best. Your attempt at like lucha style technical wrestling at one point was not very good. Um, yeah, I think that was the pay per view. Um, it was definitely a strange one. Like I feel like there was no buzz coming out of it, whereas there's usually like a lot of excitement coming out of Stardom pay per views. Um, but because this one peaked in the middle,
Like I said, it was a weird feeling of
yeah,
yeah, it was a weird
yeah,
feeling of burnout for me, where I was like, okay, I'm happy that's the only only Stardom show I have to watch this weekend. I enjoyed some of the matches a lot, but I don't want to
yeah.
watch anymore right now.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed a lot of it. I mean, Mariah and Hashimoto was fantastic. The title match was great. I enjoyed the main event.
Are you
Oh,
eating something?
Um, so I mean that
Sounded
no,
like you were chewing on something. I was like, you talking and eating? That's
I
crazy. I don't
not
even do
that
that no
skilled.
more.
But yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed the show. Definitely not like a runaway pay per view. Like I'm not gonna remember it at all. But you know, there was two excellent matches and one great match. So I can't really complain.
And it was another thing is that it was on a weekend that actually had good New Japan matches to like stack up against. So it was like
It though.
it was weird, right? Like, cause like even like, and I don't like Will's style. Even the Will Taichi match was pretty solid.
Yeah.
Like it felt like a divergence from the usual, and I like that. Uh, and then like the junior match was good. Like it had a lot of competition this weekend actually. And I mean I don't even watch AJPW, but they did something apparently.
I don't
I
know.
guess I don't know.
Um,
But if a what is it, a tree falling in the
yeah,
woods,
pretty
that's
much.
AJPW for me.
Anyway, we have two shows to preview this weekend. There's a TJPW
They're
Karkin
pretty
this
nothing. We
weekend,
can get
so
those
I'm
right.
gonna end up talking about that more than this next weekend because those TJPW Karkins are absolutely bussing these days. Like
What's going on at this
they are
TJPW card?
doing. Oh, do you know what they're
Let me
doing?
look
They're
it
doing
up.
Yuki Arai versus Palm Harajuku, and that is the greatest match I've ever heard.
For somebody who doesn't watch a lot of Tokyo Joshi, that's not like the big match I was expecting you to say.
Nah, that's like
It's
ah,
like, damn.
Yuki is great. Palm is cool. They have
Oh, it's the
yeah,
final of the
but
tournament.
there's a cool tag match. I think it's Mizuki and Yuka against Suzume
Ooh, that is clean.
and
Yeah, Miyu
Miyu. And yeah,
Watanabe.
that's a badass match.
Janaya
Yes,
Kai's
that's
over
a
there
cool
now.
match too.
That's cool.
I like Himawari versus Wakana as well. They're the two new rookies. That'll be a fun one. Um,
Mhm. Does Arisu Endo finally win a match against Miyamoto, or is Miyamoto just beating her?
Arisu should win. Yes. Yeah.
Like that
Future
makes
high speed
sense.
champion Arisu
It's
Endo
not
should get the
far
win there.
fetched. Dude,
It's happening.
I don't
It's
want to
gonna
be that
happen.
guy. I don't want to be that guy, but like, please, I
No,
love Arisu Endo. I think she is so dope,
she's great.
and like, I think she has a lot of potential, both in TJPW and outside of TJPW. I'll leave it like
Definitely.
that.
But yeah, I like those TJPW Karkins. They're always fantastic. So these Stardom House shows are going to be very poor in comparison to a lively TJPW Karkin, but that it is what it is.
I
Uh,
mean, it is all they could cheer on these, right? Like these
I don't
are these
know. They
cheers
haven't said.
still?
They've said it specifically for every other show, but not these. So I don't know. It might come the time where they just get there and are like, yeah, cool, you guys can cheer, or it might not be. But anyway, the first one to preview is in Niigata in Jotsu City. This is on the 11th of February. In the opener, we have a four-way tag. It is Mariah May and Mina Shirakawa versus Lady C and Miyu Amasaki versus Mai Sakurai and Tekla versus Starlight Kid and Rocka.
All the stars are here,
Oh yeah.
Alex.
Club Venus or Oedo Tai probably wins, I feel like.
It's gotta be Cloud Venus.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like Mariah and Tech will probably do some shtick.
Oh, I hope so. The match after that then is Julia, Maika, and Himeka of Donna Del Mondo versus
God
Hazuki,
damn.
Koguma, and Saya Ida. So it's a DDM win, of course.
Yeah, but this is interesting. You know what's so meta about Stardom shows nowadays is that because I know that the second show of a weekend will never come out before we record, and I'll probably forget to watch it. I am always like, please be good matches on like the Saturday show
Right.
because that's what matters. Because I'm always gonna forget to watch the shit that isn't up before we do the podcast. So I'm always like, please God, make this show be good. The show that I gotta watch,
That is
and not
valid.
the one that I don't.
That is valid, honestly. Um, Now the next match is a triangle derby match. It is Tam, Natsupoi, and Saki versus Momo Watanabe, Natsuko Tora, and Saki Kashima. Both teams are on 6 points as far as I can tell, and the league leaders are on like 9 and 8, so they both kind of need to win. Um, Old Ship probably needs to win more. I feel like they've lost to a lot of the top teams.
Uh, 1, 2.
Whoever's a tiebreaker is probably in a stronger position to make a case, but
Um,
not really
I
interested in
f-
calculating who has tiebreakers.
yeah, I'm not doing all
Yeah.
that, and especially because of the cross.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. I'm not really paying too much attention. I'm just looking at points and being theoretical about it. Uh, well, Cosmic Angels, their last match is against where the fuck? Why are these tables so small? Their final match is against God's Eye, so they're not winning that. Uh, so I imagine they got to win this,
All right. Okay.
get up to 8.
I agree.
Even though I'm pretty sure that officially eliminates Club Venus.
Club Venus.
I don't fucking know.
Anyway, so yeah, the Cosmic Angels win. The next match then is a triangle derby match. It is Mayu Iwatani, Hanan, and Momo Kogo versus Waka Tsukiyama, Rina Amakura, and Yuko Sakurai. Um,
H&M finally get a dub. Let's
oh
go.
yeah, I saw
Shouts
saw
out.
Rina Amakura have a cool match the other day on Wave.
Oh, with Kurumi?
Yeah,
So fucking good.
yeah,
It was
Kurumi.
so good. I watched that too, and I was like, this shit fucks way harder than it should. I'm enjoying this. It was great.
Kurumi Hiragi and Rina Amakura. What a fun match. Everybody should watch that.
What a strange pairing. Like, not strange, because like they both like I feel like colors and prominence are like the two sides of a same coin, where they both left their companies and like started their own, and like they are both in Stardom and all that shit. But like, and Rina and Kurumi kind of filled the same
Mm.
role in both tribes. But like, it's like you just don't expect them to have like that good of a match in a singles on a random wave show.
Yeah. No, that wave show was kind of cool. But
Yeah.
yeah. The next match on this Stardom show is a triangle derby match. It is Nanai Takahashi, Yu, and Yuna Mizumori versus Shiri, Mirai, and Ami Sourei. Um,
It's a me match.
yeah, who's got the advantage there? So 7 Up is on 8 points in their block, whereas Rampage.
And their last two are against oh they wait. No, wait, who is that? Oh, against Lollipop. So they are going to go to 10
Right, so they can lose here.
regardless.
Yes, they can lose here to
Yes. Yes, they can
Rampage,
lose.
GE.
But then they'll go to 11.
Yeah.
Rampage
Well, they're
will.
probably going through anyway, so you can send them through.
Yeah. They haven't lost a match yet.
Wow.
And they aren't going to because they have Cosmic
Yeah.
Angels. I imagine they go through and then they end up losing to
Probably.
somebody. Like they probably go undefeated. They probably do the Shingo run where they go undefeated and then lose
Mm.
in the final.
I mean, yeah. Yes, maybe.
It'll be
I don't
interesting.
know. The next match then is Queen's Quest, the team of Utami Hayashishita, Sayaka Matani, and Azumi versus Chairman Ram, Mayukihi, and Maika Ozaki. We kind of know now that Rebel X Enemy are going to win, because Queen's Quest has to
Yes.
fumble.
Yes. They have to fumble a lot, in
Yes.
fact.
The next show then to preview is on the 12th of February. This is in Shizuoka, in Messe. They have in the opener they don't even have graphics for this show. That's how little they care about it. Oh my god. So they have Tam Nakano versus Saya Kamatani
What a
versus Yuna Mizumori.
it's a crazy match.
Yeah.
Like because like I said, my browser doesn't auto translate, so I'm like reading the kanji. I'm just like, wait a minute,
hmm
really? Oh fuck, that's a wild match. Sai over Yuna.
Yeah, sure, why not? um, the match after that then is Natsupoi, Mina Shirakawa, and Mariah May representing the Cosmic Angels versus Koguma, Momokogo,
Ooh,
and Hanan. So that's kind of interesting.
we'll see how Natsupoi
Yeah,
does
definitely.
with Tribe.
Um, I assume that's a Cosmic Angels win because Kogumo, Komomo,
Yes,
and
yes,
Hanan
it
is
is.
very much a B team. The Stars A team then is in action. It's Mayu, Hazuki, and Saida versus Natsuko Tora, Momo Watanabe, and Saki Kashima. So probably a gold ship win because they're in the league and the other team aren't.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
yeah. The match after that then is Shiri, Mirai, and Amisore versus Utami, Hayashishita, Azumi, and Kevin. So that's a Rampage win.
Yes, it is.
The match after that is a Triangle Derby match. It is the Bari Bari Bombers versus MaiHime with C. I don't know. Maybe Bari Bari Bombers.
They also don't have the fucking graph on here. Hold
Yeah.
on. I don't know. I feel like this is Mahimi with C's last match
Maybe?
together. So something might pop off.
Oh, possibly. So yeah.
Uh,
Well, would they pop off in Shizuoka?
that's such such a funny. I'm a pop off in Shizuoka. Watch me do it. Um, I don't know. Maybe like I. What's the projected main event? It's Lollipop Unit. Yeah, that's not main eventing. I imagine this will be the main
Right.
event. Um, so they could. I mean, like it's possible that like I feel like something's gonna happen because Lady C has been tweeting about how she's so sad that this goddamn tag league is ending.
Right.
Um, and they're like, you could just hang out with us forever if you want. She's like, nah, but
So
like
she's
we
gonna
got
join
homies.
DDM after, is what we're getting at.
It's
Okay,
possible.
that's great. The main event then of this show is another Triangle Derby match. It is Starlight Gate, Haruka Umasaki, and Raka versus Waka Tsukiyama, Rina Amikura, and Yuko Sakurai of Lollipop.
This ain't main eventing.
Maybe not, but yeah, Unique Glare is winning because Waka.
They are. I think that's the last lollipop match.
Ah, that is disappointing. They're like the best team of this entire tournament.
Oh, wait, no. There's one more. They have
Praise
7 Up
Jeebus.
at
Oh
the
my
end.
god. Oh, that's a
They have 7
Corkin,
Up at
isn't
the
it?
end. Yes, it is the 17th.
Yes. All right.
Damn.
So
Wait, what? Wait. Never mind. Hold on. These fucking graphs are too small. That's not the 17th. What the fuck day is it?
it's the 17th. They're
It's the
wrestling.
16th?
Waka's wrestling tonight at the Corkin.
Okay,
Yeah.
whatever. For whatever reason they decided to put like the smallest
I know. I've seen the
tables
table.
on this show.
I've seen it.
It's frustrating.
Anyway, that is this weekend's action in the Triangle Derby. I don't think anybody even still cares about this tournament. Like nobody is enjoying it. It is really funny. Um,
The final will be fun, I'm
yeah,
sure.
but
I'm sure they'll go out a
we
little
will
bit.
be back next week to review these house shows begrudgingly, and we're gonna preview.
The one house show
Yeah,
that's up, let's be realistic.
we're gonna preview then the Cork and Hall show, which is kind of like the last Triangle Derby show because they stopped doing Triangle Derby matches I think after that for a little bit. Um, and
Yeah.
then we'll preview. There's like two. There's like a midweek show the next week. It is very awkward, but we will figure that out next week. Um, that I think it is time to close the show.
Yes, indeed. Did we forget any bits? We did the forced marriage one. We did the Kevin one.
Yeah.
We did ones along the way. I talked about how told Velke to eat shit.
Oh,
Um,
the Stardom Card Party.
Stardom Car probably we did do that.
A long-term storyline now. It's my addiction.
There's got there's got to be one about like did I simp for Micah this week or something? I don't know. There's
I
got
feel
to be
like you
something.
simped for them enough with your description of their match. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think we're good.
All right. Okay. Well, with that, it's time to close the show. If you want to stand, you may stand. If you want to sit, you may sit. Believe today, shine tomorrow. You decide what you believe in. Joe.
Yep.